What up, random rockers? Sorry for the little lighting we got here. Natural lighting and during the cooler days of fall. But yeah, we got 3 albums that we've got that came out this week that I'm going to talk about. One, I decided to say screw it. I'll give you a reason why. We'll start with Dogstar. Somewhere between the power lines and palm trees. Say that album title 5 times fast. Yes, and for those who are wondering, Dogstar, is it that Dogstar? Yes, it's that Dogstar. Yes, it's that Dogstar. And I know what you're wondering. The real question, is this album excellent? Or is it bogus? It's the former, not the latter. Surprisingly. I wasn't expecting too much going into it, because I didn't have the background of their previous records. This band was formed in '95 over some relationship with him and between Keanu and the drummer. That's name I'll eventually have popped up here somewhere. Robert Mailhouse. It was over something with hockey. And I guess eventually it led to them deciding to form a band. And yeah. So at some time between Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey, original singer was named Greg Miller at that time, though eventually, I guess from every album since, it wound up being Brett Dumrose, or Domrose, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. I'm sorry for butchering your name, my dude. But yeah, of course I did this because, fucking Keanu. And yeah, because of him being the one on bass, he's more forward in the mix on the bass. As is the drums, mainly because they were the 2 main founding members anyway. But the lead vocals and guitars from Brett are done somewhat well. They still are prominent in the mix, but not nearly as obviously prominent as the drums and tend to be a lot more during the first couple tracks on this thing. I've yet to hear the previous albums from their 96 record, Our Little Visionary, and their 2000 record, Happy Ending. So this is me going in just blank slate, just with this new record. Oh, so that makes sense why they have the title of one of the songs, Dillon Street's, because of Dillon Street Records. Interesting. All right, there. Now you know. Now you knew. But yes, the track you heard was one of the singles. Oh. Yeah, but Blonde was the first song on this record. That's not bad. For the most part, it's a kind of a softy record, but it's somewhat mature in its writing in a way. Technically, they're considered both alternative rock and grunge somehow. Or at least maybe their earlier records were, but this one doesn't feel super grungy. The closest thing I guess you could say is the track I just played, Breach, which is one of the singles off this record. But for the most part, I don't hear too much grunge in this record as much as I hear more adult alternative, power poppy kind of sounds, with maybe somewhat leaning into some shoegaze and dream pop at points. Not overly noise, not like the noise rock end that either grunge or shoegaze do have. Just more in the fuzzed out tones, at least. And it's how the story ends is everything turns around. Overhane, I think, is one of the heavier ones. Dillon Street, I believe, was probably the more acoustic-y, ballady kind of tracks. I almost feel like I might have got lost a little bit with Lily and Lust, and the tracks Lily and Lust, but I feel like Glimmer kind of gets things up, and that was another single off this record that's not bad as well. But it's, or at least it seems by that point, the things were starting to come together a little more, and I was starting to hear more of the guitars come out a little more in the mix than the previous stuff, but like, and then I don't even going through the lyrics for a little bit, or at least from Glimmer up to Breach, at least up to a point. Not that, yeah, I mean, they're not terribly written or anything like that, or at least this is kind of surprisingly and enjoyable. Well, I wasn't expecting too much out of this project, and I was pleasantly surprised. Apparently they did a comeback tour, and I had no idea they were even a thing until I looked up and was like, really? Really? They're because I knew about Dogstar. Quick, name the two bands. One of them I didn't know was one of them that opened for them. One I definitely didn't know. One of them I've covered on this channel, one I haven't. If you can name them in the comments, leave them below. I know them. Yeah. But overall, I surprisingly enjoy this. Dogstar record's quite enjoyable. Strong thumbs up to a strong keeping it real. Possibly bump up to a light horns up, maybe. As this record goes on me, it might do that, but I don't know. I might make it honorable mentions, maybe, but I don't know if I'll make it a high honorable mentions or album of the year necessarily, but solid this album is for sure, but for what it is, you know. It's maybe not for everybody, I guess, but it's got some nice songs that you could maybe do slow dances to, and there's some moments that are a little more upbeat, and not as much upbeat stuff. Most of it's a little more in the slow dance territory, but it's still fine. It's still, or just like chill out in your car and just, or like, you know, just like veg out, you know, nothing boring. Nothing boring or anything, luckily. So, yeah, Keanu's good action star and could slap at the bass. I know that's not a reference to any of his movies, but you get the idea. Yeah, moving on to, well, actually, before I do move on, actually, one more word that about how surprised I was. Whoa. All right, now we got all the jokes out of the way that I can think of. Moving on to October Tide, the Cancer Pledge. So, October Tide, I kind of, thanks to Forge Metal Masters, or Forge Masters Metal. Anyway, this is, I guess, the 7th studio album of this band, and I believe it's a side project from members of Catatonia that was initially Death Doom, and it wound up morphing, and as it went on, it turned into other things, and it seems that this record kind of tends to have more of a but it seems like for Death Doom, it seems maybe more melodic death metal oriented than Doom, and with maybe some elements of like black metal tremolo picking techniques here and there, or at least in the more melodic black metal lenient side of it, as opposed to the more raw stuff, which I don't prefer personally. That's me. I'm more a black and shoegaze and type of guy. More on that later after this review of this record. But I wanted to get into this because of Catatonia, and yeah, there's some of that doominess somewhat in here. But for the most part, it's more closer to what I'm told Amorphous is, in that leaning more towards melodic death metal. And there are some, I guess, melodic black metal elements here and there. But I'd say but technically melodic death metal with some technically uses black metal elements like the tremolo picking, so you could take or leave whether or not it's melodic black metal is in here or not. I'd say it, to me personally, I'd say it's really more of a melodic death metal that has doom, that flirts with doom and blackened elements here and there. And it's more death growly than I would say black metal screeching. On the vocals mostly throughout most of this, so it's not going to be too much for the faint of heart if you don't care for harsh vocals, but you know. But if you liked Catatonia, or even more so the early stuff that was the death doomy stuff, there's a chance you'll with some hints of the more current, more alternative rock, progressive rock leaning elements to a degree here and there, in that almost alternative progressive alt metal-ish kind of way. Yeah, there's hints of that here, at least in its more melodic elements, I guess. But for the most part, I'd say it's pretty more closer to straightforward melodic melodic death metal. But yeah, overall, I like this record very much. I'd say it's light to strong, keeping it real. Yeah. It's like, yeah. Also possibly leaning to a light horns up. Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. Yes. I'm glad this was one of my first records I got into October Tide with. So I'm definitely going to be more on the lookout for them. So yeah. Yeah, if you want more melodic death metal than doom, this is definitely going to be the album for you to check out. Yeah. Also, there's a line on one of on the title track that says, I've heard JC Rock Metal reviews say it's the most beautiful bird. I heard the most beautiful bride. The way the enunciation came off to me was bride. I wonder if bride has died or something, and it was a very potent moment in it. So, or at least the way the vocals came off really felt agonizing in a way. Or at least that was a standout in my opinion for me. Even though I totally understand, like, the Cancer Pledge as an album title, let alone song title, is weird to some people, but it's still pretty. I mean, though I will say that Unprecedented Aggression definitely lives up to its title. Or at least for what this particular sound is, at least. Style of melodic death metal does, at least, that leans into doom metal, And I do understand the blackened elements, which definitely show up on I Know Why I'm Cold. But other than that, yeah, my score still remains the same, as I've said already. But yeah, moving on to Svalbard. The Weight of the Mask. Now, I've been looking forward to. I was trying to remember at first how I remember this band, and then when I looked through the discography, I'm like, oh yeah, their 2020 release, When I Die, I Get Better. Well, this was my first introduction to this band, which the album cover looks like this. If you remember that record, that I talked about, yeah. That was some really good blackened shoegaze, post-black metal, leaning to post-hardcore territory. That's kind of what this album also does as well. It leans into that, but I also get similar vibes to another band that is in the more post-metal territory. in some of their moments that I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. I guess because I haven't had a release in a while, I'm forgetting because there's so many releases. So I hate that I can't think of it. But if you hear it, you'll know what I mean if you've heard this band. Dang it, it just bothers me that I'm never gonna remember it. But they had a certain type, like the way the cleans are in that sort of ambient clean, reverbed cleans. And I don't mean Deftones, no. Even though they're considered an influence, actually. Not only to this band, but the band I'm thinking of, and I don't know why I'm forgetting it. Fuck. Their first album's called Air. I don't know why I'm blanking on the band's name. Fuck. It's gonna bother me for a while, guys. Because I like this band, and I showed my buddy, my buddy who's my Burn Peg co-host, this band, actually, on their recent album, and he liked it. I don't know if he'll remember it, honestly, somehow you do, leave a comment below, but, hold on, I gotta find out what this band is, or else it's gonna fucking bother me, so hold on. It's Astronoid. Because that's what I was thinking of. Okay, now I know. I feel complete. Fuck. But yeah, the way the Cherry's vocals are on this thing, yeah, it's Astronoid. Is what I'm thinking of. The way those cleans come in on a lot of these tracks, especially right around Eternal Spirits and. More so, some moments of Defiance. November definitely brings some chill, some of those kind of chilling aspects that usually are supposed to come, chilly, frosty aspects that come from the sound that usually are meant to be associated with just black metal in general. Lights Out was definitely one. How to Swim Down was pretty good. Pillar in the Sand. I think Lights Out was one of my favorites, and How to Swim Down for sure. Especially, I think some of the tracks that November, I think, is one of the build-up ones that was kind of chilly and then went up there, but I might be confusing with some other track from it, to be fair. But yeah, for the most part, I really like this record. It's not nearly as fierce sounding. It definitely feels like there is a more optimism to this, despite the fact that the music is supposed to be kind of dour. But yeah, musically, I love this blending of the black and shoegaze, post-black metal, post-hard shoegaze, post-black metal, post-metal, post-hardcore, blending of sorts. Very, very much. It's definitely another great record. I've heard some people say the previous albums are better, but this album's still good. I love the opening, Faking It, was just great. A great way to get into this record. It does deal with a lot of things involving they have things for being mental health advocates, and this dealing with just faking your smiles, and it's more in that, just to get through your days and stuff, when really inside you're just so dour, depressed, and everything, and trying to see through that, and seeming to see through that facade and all that kind of stuff, and this musically is a fun little journey. It's for what it is, even in spite of its subject matter. I have similar feelings to this as to the one of the, to another particular record that I'm blanking on as well, but, oh, the new Holding Absence. There it is. That particular record, I get a similar kind of feeling of it, especially in its notes of having more ethereal, post-hardcore kind of sounding stuff. Cher is, if I'm butchering her name right, her cleans, I think this might be one of the first times I think she's started to do cleans. I hadn't heard the first record, so I've only heard the last record, and she did more screams there, and there's some other vocals screams from, I think, one of the other dudes in the band, but yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this one, and definitely going to be more closer to higher honorable mentions, like I think I did with the last record. If not, maybe potentially album of the year contender, but it's not entirely for sure. But overall, I would definitely say like to straw horns up for sure on this thing. For definitely, in terms of like the more post-black metal, black and shoegaze, post-hardcore blendings of sounds, it's done quite well. And when it wants to be chilling at times, it can be. And it's a subject matter that's relatable, that they're screaming, if not somewhat ethereally, ambiently clean singing. So, yeah. If you kind of liked what Svalbard did last record, but also wanted a little bit of Astronoid in it for some reason, yeah, check this thing out. And that's it for these albums. What did you think of all of these records from Svalbard, Dogstar, and October Tide? Leave a comment below. Let me know. And as always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, y'all.